Welcome, my friends. You're on Mav's Coffee Clarity with Denise DiGrigoli. Every week, we're spilling the beans. It's a show designed to help you move forward at work, love, and life. If you've just found me, welcome. And if you're a regular, welcome back. Here's where I share interviews with some fascinating people. Their business intel, their life hacks and strategies, fresh ideas, infused with humor, designed to help you move forward. Today is nothing short of another spectacular guest. Somebody that's been through so much change and transformation like a champion makes it look easy. Welcome to the show, my good friend of 3 decades, Kristen Rzasa.
Wow, thank you. That is quite a build-up. I hope I can live up to that spectacular introduction. And I can't believe it's been 3 decades. We still look as fabulous as ever.
Right. I'm going for 29.
Yes, of course.
I tell my daughter, Ava, just remember that special number, especially if you want to keep living, 29. I'm just kidding. Welcome. You know, I've seen you evolve through a number of career transitions, and it kind of reminds me of myself. We're a little akin, right?
Yes.
Entrepreneurs, evolving, pivoting with the times. And when we were talking offline, you were telling me about your corporate career, which is so fascinating because I actually started off in the automotive industry too, in my grandmother's business, or family business, I should say, but it was Ford. Anyways, tell our audience, you were in corporate and you got a little bit of a boot.
Yes.
And then you moved into your own entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Tell us about that, because so many of our listeners are trying to do that and feel a little stuck.
Yeah. Well, I started out in human resources and I evolved into specializing in executive development, training and leadership coaching. And I really loved that career. So I got a little bit of a boot, not for anything I said or did. I mean, I hope not. But just because at that time I worked for Daimler Chrysler Financial Services and they were unmerging. And so they unmerged really everyone in Connecticut. So I was aware that was coming.
You were gently shifted?
Yes.
Okay.
I was shifted out the door. So I knew for a couple of months, actually several months, I knew it was coming. And this was in early 2002.
Wow.
And it gave me a chance to really reevaluate whether I wanted to continue in that field. And I really loved my job. I wasn't one of those people waiting to escape their cubicle. I loved that field. And I also had a side hustle going on at the time. That was my kind of my fun job. So when I found out
You had a side hustle before it was popular?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. What was it?
We didn't even call it a side hustle back then. I don't know what we called it. It was another job, a second job we called it. I had a franchise of Jazzercise. And I was doing that more for fun.
I didn't realize that was your side hustle. Side note to our audience.
Yeah.
I met Kristen by accident at her Jazzercise class when Troy and I first opened our business in Stamford.
Yes, you
and I was
right around the
jazzy.
corner.
I was
Yes.
jazzy at Jazzercise.
Everybody's jazzy at Jazzercise.
Oh yeah,
Everybody can.
I just thought I was the cats. Yeah, learning these fancy dance moves and getting tone.
And did you have scrunchy socks and a thong? Because that is
No,
the way
no,
we
I'm not
started in the early 90s.
I'm not a thong girl. I have to tell you, no. I need to hold things in place, not let them fly around.
Good move. Yeah, that was my side hustle. And I was doing one thing about that, though, and for anybody who is thinking of making a change or a shift out of corporate, while that was my fun job, that was my job where I kind of earmarked it that I'm going to earn enough money to go on a good vacation every year with this little.
Oh, so you had a little
job.
goal with a side hustle.
Yeah, I always treated it as a business,
Mm-hmm.
even though it was kind of my hobby. When I
Really
started
smart
it.
of you.
But even when I was just me, 3 classes a week, I was still treating it like a business.
Mm-hmm. That might be a little business intel life hack right there. Like whatever you do, treat it seriously and maximize its potential.
Absolutely. And it's because I always treated it as a business that I was able to transition when life threw a curveball
Meaning when Daimler gave you
yeah.
the pink carpet?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah. And as I said, that happened early in 2002. And so it was just months after 9/11. And a
Wow.
lot of people were kind of taking stock. And I had a very unusual experience in 9/11. And so that just made me kind of think about.
Was your experience, when you say unusual, was it nerve-wracking unusual?
It was. It wasn't as tragic as many people had their experience, but I was actually in the air flying to New York. So
Wow.
I was rerouted to Newfoundland. So if you want to hear my story, there is a Broadway musical about it called Come From Away. If you've never seen it, it's a fantastic musical, and it really captures what we went through. So I highly recommend watching it. But that
Okay, we're going to put that in the show notes. It's called what?
Come From Away.
Come From Away.
Yeah,
And that might be another podcast episode
Yeah.
with you. What a story. Okay.
It's also streaming on Apple or something like that. You can look for it streaming. But having gone through that experience just months before, it made me think, okay, if not now, when? I always had that entrepreneurial bug. I'm getting an invitation. If not now, when?
The universe was kind of knocking.
Yeah. When am I going to leave?
So were you a full-time jazzerciser?
After I left, yes, I started full-time jazzercise, and I grew and grew and grew. And
to what point did you have instructors?
I had about 12 or 15 staff. Yep.
So you grew from a little teaching 3 classes.
It was me, 3 classes in that gym that you went to, to somewhere around 250 customers, 35 classes a week. We were in the top 50 worldwide.
Wow, what an accomplishment.
Years. Yeah, and the top in the state for most of that time. And
did you ever miss your corporate career at Daimler or Mercedes?
I only missed the paycheck and the benefits. That good old 401k plan, that thing called health insurance, that you're like, yeah, because when I went full-time entrepreneur, I was single, so I was my only source of income, no other, household income, and I had a mortgage. I had bought my own home prior to that, so a Fairfield
You were very
County,
ambitious as a young person.
Yeah, I was really silly. No, I was crazy is what I was. Yeah.
No caution to the wind.
Yeah, exactly. So I just took the leap.
Okay, now I do know that you've sold your jazzercise business as of recent, but what did you do? How long was jazzercise?
Well, I actually ran it for 23 years.
Wow, when you're only 29, you are really just kicking it.
Rolling back the clock.
Yeah, all right. Well, it's because you were exercising and breathing. Right.
Yeah, I actually sold it 10 years ago, and I stayed on and subbed for the new owner. And so it's been a while.
Was it hard to let it go? Because I find myself a very nostalgic person, and it's kind of like when you become a friend of mine, you never leave the nest. You have to do something really catastrophic for me to boot you out of the nest.
Yeah.
And I feel that way about my businesses too. I've started a few businesses, and I always struggle with letting them go. How about you?
Yeah,
you do know, like any relationship, when it's time, right? It's time to move.
Right.
Move on.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like everybody stays in the nest. It's like, and I can remember clients off of Troy's database email list. I'm like, oh yeah, well you did business with them in 1980. And he's like, what?
Yes, I know. Well, yes, it was difficult, but it was time. And
how did you know it was time? Because I think that's important for our listeners to hear. Because some of us stay, as I'm admitting, sometimes too long. Like, what's your telltale sign?
Well, in that case, I had like a real medical emergency situation. And
so it was another, if not now, when?
Yeah, it was. And I felt like that was, you can love something. I'll say this, you can really love something and still feel that it's time to move on from it.
Yeah,
you
true.
can be extremely passionate about it and recognize that it's run its course.
Right.
And I was so passionate about jazzercise. And in 2012, I had a really bad medical meltdown situation where I had an emergency surgery.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I was out for several months after that. And I just realized that I was running myself into the ground with that business. And it was,
Even though from the
time to move
outside it
on.
looks like uber fun.
it is really fun. It is really fun. And I stayed on to as a sub with the new person who, ran it in a very different scale. She did not take my lease. She ran it out of another gym and at a much smaller level. But I still had my toe in the water. So I think that was the other way that I was able to kind of ease out. And just like a little crazy side note is she just closed her doors at the end of October, and I therefore then resigned because no place to, or retired right before I came here. I sent the email like an hour ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a pivotal moment.
I was like kind of freaking out when I did it. I knew that I was done because she was closing and I was done and it was time. Yeah. But I still hadn't typed up the resignation email until today.
Well, hopefully this helped you move forward. You had to. Yeah. You were coming in here.
Yeah.
And just so the audience knows, I didn't say it in the beginning, we tape live. Yeah. The reason why we tape live and we call it Coffee with a Friend is because all Coffee with a Friend is kind of authentic, right?
Absolutely.
And you don't edit it. And so in the studio, whether you're here in Fairfield, where you are now, or Sheffield, Mass, or if I come to you, we always go live. And I'm thankful for that because I think you are the most authentic when there's no editing.
Absolutely. Because we can't edit in life very easily.
Right?
It just the tape keeps flowing.
I mean,
so we got to get on the train or
get on the bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now you've sold Rzasa 10 years ago. You're subbing, but what else are you doing?
Yeah, the subbing was really not at all like I was not making a living subbing or anything.
No.
I wasn't even paying for my coffee with that. I got into a variety of other wellness modalities. And so I had things like essential oils. I'm a practitioner of the MELT method, which is for your connective tissue. And I was weaving those together in kind of a health coaching sort of practice.
Did you find a lot of your Rzasa clients came right over? Was it easy to transition and attract clients because they knew you in that way?
In some cases, yes, because you have that know, like, and trust factor. Some people have taken Rzasa with me for over 30 years. So if I recommend something, they're on it.
Right.
So
Good.
there was some of that, but I also knew that I needed to expand my circle, from just Rzasa. So I did a lot of different health modalities, and then different business opportunities started coming my way.
And is this by accident, or did you hit the lotto, or what happened?
No, I would love to hit the lotto. I never have bought a lotto ticket, I think, so that's probably one.
This is another piece of business intel, friends. Don't buy a lotto ticket. It's really not worth it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think a key piece of business intel is just keep putting yourself out there. So I was always networking. I was always connecting people. I was always visible online. And so someone contacted me that I knew of, but I didn't know her, and said, hey, there is this business opportunity that I'm involved in, and I think you would be a perfect person to be involved with this. And it was a business in New Canaan called Halo that was opening up as kind of like a wellness mall sort of thing. And so what I bring to the table and what they could see from sort of following me online is that I have the wellness knowledge and background, but I also have the business strategy piece because I came from corporate, and it's an interesting balance to have both of those things. So
you're like a fun unicorn.
Yeah. I am. I'm definitely very, very unicorny with that.
You've got it on both sides.
Not my color palette necessarily. I'm very much neutral, but So I went in and I did that project for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, and we opened the business. So
is it still open?
It is still open. Yeah. I haven't been involved for years, but they brought me on as basically the consulting COO. So
you got it going.
I did.
So you have that sort of vision to see things and start them up. So, okay, you did that, and then what?
Yeah. And
I guess let's just take a pause there for a minute. So you're going through all these transitions. I know you got married a little later in life. Where is the husband falling in here?
Oh.
Is he here yet at Halo or no?
Yes, actually, after I went full-time jazzercise back in the I got married in 2003. So I was doing my own thing for about a year, and then he came along.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you got married a little. So I think that's also because people, again, responding to the feedback I get, like either they're in a divorce or through a divorce and looking to reconnect with someone, or they're struggling with, my life has been like this forever, and now my kids are done with college and I want a new career, but I don't know what to do, or I'm afraid to make the move because I'm comfortable. So what I'm hearing from you is like, you were comfortable, but you didn't let that stop you. You kind of rode the winds.
Yeah.
What does that take in someone's personality? Did you develop that skill, or were you born that way? I'm going to start singing Lady Gaga in a minute.
I think that it's a combination. I think there is something innate in me. My father was a real strong leader and definitely instilled leadership qualities in me. But I think it's also continuously learning, and getting married a little bit later, I had really developed a very strong muscle of independence, which is to say that I had my own goals, I had my own vision, my direction. That was like extra bonus. It wasn't, I always kind of grew up with the philosophy a man is not a plan.
Right.
So I'm going to go and make
oh my gosh,
way.
That was so good. A man is not a plan.
No, you got to have your own money. You've got to make your own way.
That's a life hack. I'm right there. A man is not a plan. Yeah. We love you guys, but a man is not a plan.
You're a bonus. You're the cherry on top. You are not the plan. You are not the.
You're a sparkly, magically glittery vacation. No, not really.
Exactly. Some days, but other days definitely not.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So I feel like there was a little bit of innate aspect of that in me, and then there was also the life experience that helped to also.
Are you an only child? Do you have siblings?
No, I have a brother.
You have a brother?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't talk about him, but we do have him.
Okay, he's available when needed.
I'm kidding.
So all right. I mean, that's fascinating to me. So you are, again, because I see a lot of myself in you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I would have had the courage to say it online if you didn't say it first. A man, what did you say?
A man is not a plan.
A man is not a plan. Oh, my poor husband. I've worked with him for 25 years. He's like, what?
Yes. I mean, good for you. Like working with them is a whole nother.
Wait a minute.
A whole nother ball of
he has no hair.
Yeah. Well,
it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, Rich has hardly any hair.
Okay, it has nothing to do with you either. I think it's the
he
food.
Had more when he met me.
Yeah,
so it might
well, maybe it's the
something
pollution in the food. I'm not
Could
sure.
be. It could be.
But not us.
Not me.
No,
absolutely.
Take
not.
no accountability.
Yes, of course. We still have big heads of Italian hair.
Yeah, I see our hair. We'll put it online for all of you to see it too. Okay, so now you're past Halo, and where are you?
Yeah. So because I really dove a lot deeper in business strategy when in opening Halo, I started to shift a little bit away from just health coaching into business coaching. And I describe now what I do as a hybrid of that. I describe it as holistic coaching. It's helping, I always say, I help women crush their goals without crushing their souls. Because I think that you can't separate what's going on in your personal life. You bring it with you, and you can't separate what's going on in your mind. Your energy, that your energetic presence that you bring. You can't discount all of that and just make a marketing plan.
No, I'm so on the
together.
same page.
Yeah,
everything connects to mindset,
absolutely,
and everything connects to reviving your energy every day.
Yeah,
in a method that I created in a book, The Daily Drive, I say, motivation doesn't last.
No.
Neither does bathing or brushing your teeth. That's why we do it daily.
Every day.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
And I was listening to another podcast on my way down here, and I forget the name of the lady right now, but her show is Gold Digger. And she said, if I had to rely on motivation to create everything in my life that I have, I would have done nothing.
I'd still be in bed.
Yeah, I'd be in bed.
You have to,
with my fluffy slippers.
Yeah, my weighted blanket, which I'm very attached to.
So, okay.
You can't wait for motivation. You can't wait for it.
How would you express to everybody listening, like, people are struggling, right? They're coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Even still,
Sure.
they're dealing with, the remnants of that, whether it be loss of income, loss of business. Their kids might not be prevailing. We could go on and on and on. But some of us did prevail. I think you and I did.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but sometimes when I say that, people look at me like I have 7 heads. I said, I'm not going to say it was easy. My father-in-law passed away. My daughter had a ski accident. I could go on and on. And, COVID, it could have leveled us in the arts and the businesses we're in.
Sure.
But it didn't. So, and I know it didn't for you either. For me, it was always a morning routine and there's people that say too much positivity isn't good. I don't call it too much positivity. I call it the way I look at things. And I said before we got online,
right.
Nobody's broken. Wherever we are, we're meant to be, and we just have to deal. So how do you deal?
Yeah. Well, I think one thing is to know that it's okay not to be okay. And there were definitely times during the pandemic that I did not feel okay. Did I come through it? Yes. Did I find new opportunities and thrive in certain aspects? Yes. But it's okay not to be okay. And I think with our filtered Instagram, like shiny society, sometimes we feel like it's not okay to be sad or to have a hard time getting into motion or feel like we have a lack of motivation. So I think that's...
What do you do to motivate yourself? Don't tell me jazzercise. That's a given.
Dancing. I actually really try to immerse myself in learning and inspiration. So listening to inspirational podcasts like yours, reading something inspirational every day, connecting with other like-minded people, and having it be okay to say to them, like good friends, like, oh, I'm really struggling right now. I'm going through a tough time. And knowing those people that will make you laugh.
Yeah.
Because there's always something to find. There's always some humor that you can find, a little spark of humor, no matter what's going on.
I was when I was formatting the whole show, because this is a fairly new show, as you know, different than my other show on Hand Network. I learned, since I was 40, to do something out of my comfort zone. Like I literally push myself, like move it, sister, get out.
Yeah.
And not that I talk that harshly to myself. And I did take a stand-up class in 2019 at the Ridgefield Playhouse with my friend Christine O'Leary. And what I learned there was, every time I scared the heck out of myself, I got better.
Yeah.
But what I also learned, I remember watching Johnny Carson as a kid. And I remember thinking when, I might have had a tough time, when I watched Johnny Carson secretly after everyone went to bed, I would always find like his humor might have been dry, but it would make me laugh. Right. And so what was really important in this show was to teach people, because people either say humor is good or bad. They don't know how to use it. They don't know how to use it at work or only with their friends at the football games. I find it like a shock absorber, right?
Yeah.
You can use it as a way to lighten the load.
Right.
And so I do want people on the show that have a sense of humor. And you and I were talking offline. I was like, you said, why did you tell me you weren't sure if you had a sense of humor? You were in theater. I think you're very funny.
Oh, thank you. Consistently funny.
But you had a theater background, and that we didn't even talk about yet. Like you're this multifaceted, creative person. So how do you use humor, and why do you think you're not humorous? Because I think you're funny.
Thank you. I think I'm not like a joke teller, but I do see the humor in different experiences throughout the day, rather than it's about what kind of response you choose. You can choose a humorous, lighthearted response to things, or you can get pissed off, and it's all comes to how you choose to respond. We have control over that. We don't have control over a lot of things, and so it's looking for the lightness in the course of your day. And I think that I just really love that. What the key is.
You're just ripping so many life hacks. I feel like I'm in the pink bubble, and it just keeps giving more pink bubbles. Yeah. So I find the same thing, but I'm also mindful of how I use my humor in corporate America, where I have my clients. Yeah. I definitely am a little witty. Yeah. And I'll be a little self-deprecating. At home, I'm full on making up rap songs and making fun of my family, and I'm throwing the dog's voice when she does something that misbehaves. I start talking like I'm her.
Yeah, of course.
I think my family's
Who doesn't?
are you just nuts?
Really? I do that, and I don't even have a dog. So,
So did you do that with your team or the people you've worked with? Did you ever impart like humor's a good tool?
Yes, I really do think it's a great tool, and I've always tried to bring that into my work. I want it to be fun, right?
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time working, and if it's not fun and if it doesn't fill my cup, if it drains me, it's not for me. You know, it's time to move. That's one of the ways you can tell if something's if it's time to move on from something. Is it
It's not funny anymore.
It's not funny anymore. Is it expanding me or is it contracting me?
Oh my God, another great life
another
hack.
Thing I would ask myself, is this creating expansion and light in my life right now, or is it contraction and like, ugh?
I think you need to say that a second time.
Yeah.
Is it creating?
Is it creating expansion or is it
You feel it like
contracting me? Yeah, you're
effervescent
like,
flow. Or are you just shrinking,
Right.
like atrophy? Yeah.
Exactly.
Ooh, no.
I'm very, I'm very focused on the energy that we bring to things. And
Me
I'm
too.
bringing that more and more into my work. I have a practice that I've done for many years. It's called Intensati. I don't know if you've heard of it. And recently, in the beginning of this year, I became a leader with Intensati.
Tell me what that is. I have a sense of it, but I want to hear it from you so I don't murder it here on
Sure.
the show.
It was created by Patricia Moreno. And I think I met Patricia probably in like 2008. And I started doing this practice off and on, not consistently all this time. And then in 2020, I got much more active in doing their Zoom classes and things like that. And Inten is the intention and Sati is mindfulness. So it's really bringing mindful intention to how we are, to our thoughts, to our words, to our actions. And so it's using movement coupled with mantras or affirmations to shift energy in our bodies. So I'm starting to use that in my coaching practice and my groups as well. And I think I forgot what the original question was at this point, but
I don't know, but that was the answer. Was following you on the pink carpet there too. What I with my clients, well, not my strategy corporate clients. I have a hybrid of clients too, but in my one-to-one life strategy consults, I say, whatever your morning routine is, now that's perfect for you. I use the Daily Drive and Agenda for your mind, body, spirit, and lifestyle. Self-serving plug to me. But it is a book that it's not like a Julia Cameron's automatic writing. It's writing with intention. So 3 things you're thankful for that actually happened. And 3 things that you're thankful for proactively as if they did happen. So sort of believe it and bring it in. And then I'm also a firm believer that when you get it out of your mind on paper, you set it in motion. And I align with you in that thoughts become things.
Absolutely.
And thoughts become things, words become vibrations. Vibrations are in the world, the world. Blah, 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 blah. We're not editing. So when you speak words, let's just say you say, I suck. Well, that's a vibration. In the same way you say, I am going to have a wonderful podcast with Kristen today, and that's a vibration. So you're setting the energy out in front. That's part of my coaching. And when you ask, like, how do you do what you do with a minimal staff? It's part of the intention and then attention. Right, that I give to it. And, we've always had trials and tribulations. My silver lining is I use humor. I use humor in so many ways. I use humor to diffuse arguments, to diffuse myself from being irritated at the mundane that I, just had a bad day. And I love the fact that this can be a skill for anybody, not just entrepreneurs. Like, it's a free skill, so I'm going to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would love people, if they work with me, for me, coach with me, that they feel that lighthearted, humorous vibe when they leave, right? One thing I will say, when I worked in corporate, particularly for Daimler, I did learn that humor was a little tricky. Because I had a lot of different languages being spoken. And sometimes I would present and have simultaneous translation. So the participants would wear headphones and I would be translated into different languages. And I thought I was so funny. and sometimes there was no reaction. And it could be maybe you're using like slang or whatever. It didn't always translate. But I do think it is universal, though, because we all want to laugh.
I have a little comedy bit that I do that says, I hate autocorrect and I hate my telephone. I'd like to hit it with a meat hammer. Sometimes I it autocorrects me. Frankly, autocorrect, I'm sick of your shirt. You're a dumb stitch. Really?
Yeah.
So I understand the language.
Exactly.
Well, it's even like how you handshake in certain cultures, right? We've got to be
so
aware.
many customs.
So many,
Yeah.
So, okay, now you're coaching.
Yeah.
And we've reconnected. So where are you today? And are you the kind of person that's like, I have a vision 1, 2, 5 years out?
You know, I used to be, I'm a huge planner. I love a 1, 2, 5 year vision. I do. I remember the day I got my very first Franklin planner in the 90s. Oh my God, that was like orgasmic. I just couldn't.
That was orgasmic.
I just had the pages all over.
And the colors.
Oh, I was so happy. So
and the symbols.
I'm a big planner. And I think since 2020, I have been a little bit less of a planner. I've been going on more of like a 12-week, quarter to quarter. I don't have a 5-year plan right now or even a 3-year plan. I'm looking to next year. And I look more now at what do I want to feel next year? How do I want to feel? And what would help me feel that way?
I love that advice.
So that is a little bit higher on the priority list than specific goals. So I know next year, fundamentally, I want in my professional life for it to be meaningful, flexible, and profitable. And for me, those are the guideposts of my work. I want it to be, number one, meaningful. I like flexibility. I do a lot of different consulting, different, individual coaching, group coaching, all kinds of things, facilitating at places like Haven, which is a co-working space we've talked about. And so I thrive on that flexibility, and then finally profitable because, I really had a great
gotta buy the coffee
for a long time where I was getting so many great volunteer gigs. At some point, you got to pay the bills.
Right.
Yeah. So my goal for next year would be to bring women together in authentic conversation and community so that it can help them move forward in their life, whatever that looks like for them. Perhaps it's business, perhaps it's, a life change, getting out of corporate, going back to school, finding a direction after their nest is empty, whatever it might be, bringing women together in authentic conversations.
Well, I have to say, this has been a plethora of life hacks and business nuggets. We're going to wind it down with your 2 favorite best business intel and best life hack for the listeners to help them move forward if they're in transition.
Wow. Okay. I would actually say that the best hacks would be for both business and personal. I think it's the same hack. And then the 2 things I would say is to be guided by intention and intuition.
I love it.
Focus on those 2 things, set your intention, be very crystal clear about it, and follow your intuition, and you really can't go wrong.
And watch for those opportunities.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, it feels like 1992 again, like we didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
And how fortunate am I to be here, all of us, with Kristen Rzasa. You can find her online at...
You can find me at KristenRzasa.com. That's KristenRzasa.
And guess what, my friends? You are just been part of Spilling the Beans here on Mavs Coffee Clarity. It's coffee with a friend, nothing short of fascinating. If you listened and you liked it, share it. Maybe come on, visit my website, DeniseDiGrigoli.com. That's a lot of vowels, so I'm going to spell it for you. Denise, DeniseDigrigoli. Mavs Coffee Clarity. We love you. #move forward. See you next week.